Sophie, till late in the third quarter, you guys were struggling offensively in that frame. Second half in general didn't feel the same as the first half on that end. Did something change for you guys? What did you see as kind of leading to stalling on that end?
Yeah, I think we were just kind of slow. And every time that we're slow, especially defensively, it just somehow affects our offense.
Sophie Cunningham didn't hold back after this one, and she had every reason not to. The Fever just squandered a winnable matchup, falling 88-84 to a Mystics squad sitting near the bottom. Indiana built a double-digit lead and still held control at halftime, only to see Washington rip off a 22-7 run that flipped the game. With playoff positioning on the line, the setback dropped Indiana into 7th. Cunningham's fiery comments afterward, especially compared to Stephanie White's explanations, cut deep. Do you think the Fever's head coach is to blame? Share your thoughts in the comments.
Above her head is Cunningham with a steal. Cunningham feeds Sims, who goes coast to coast and lays it in. So
they had to make sure they had the right shot clock time as well while they were reviewing that.
So Indiana with a 10-point lead here. 6 minutes until halftime as Boston finds some space and knocks it down. Now Sims launches ahead for Mitchell. What a pass by Odyssey Sims.
Indiana stretched the margin to 13 during the second quarter, up 42-27, and it looked like they were cruising. But within minutes, Washington stormed back with a 22-7 spurt that erased the lead and silenced the arena. Suddenly the Mystics were executing at will, hitting 52% from the floor and knocking down key threes, while Indiana's offense froze. What should have been a comfortable cushion evaporated into a one-possession battle almost instantly.
Playing for the Buckeyes.
Here is the Buckeye product on a backdoor pass, but Mitchell lost the handle. Sutton thought about the three, steps in, Hull got a piece. Dolson has been wide open all possession, splashes home a three, and we are level at 47.
That momentum shift wasn't caused by some unstoppable superstar. It was Indiana losing its grip. Costly turnovers piled up, and defensive breakdowns came one after another. The Fever racked up 21 fouls, gifting Washington 26 free throw attempts. Every sloppy mistake or late rotation turned into more free points. It wasn't the officials deciding the game, it was Indiana sabotaging themselves possession by possession.
Sims with 5 off the bench. Indiana has 8 first-quarter bench points. That's typically been a strength when they're playing well, as Iriafen just bullies her way inside. Now Citron being guarded by Lexi Hull. Hull goes over the screen, defends her really well. Citron just has to fire it up, and a circus shot for Citron.
To make matters worse, the players punishing Indiana were Washington's all-star rookies. Sonia Citron stayed composed and scored 21 while Kiki Iriafen muscled through with 18 points and 12 boards, including momentum-shifting second-chance
including
rebounds.
several second-chance boards that completely swung
They were
momentum.
proof that once Indiana
Their
stopped
production
dictating,
wasn't
even
just
a rebuilding
empty stats.
squad could walk in
It
and
was
take
proof
over.
that when
Sitting
Indiana
7th in
stopped
the
dictating,
standings, dropping
even a
games
team
like
still
this is
searching for its
devastating
identity
their
could
playoff
come in and
hopes.
take over. Sitting in 7th place with playoff hopes hinging on these must-win nights, letting a young duo dismantle your lead is about as costly as it gets.
It's up in the chat. Get it. It's in the chat. Go. Why at the same time? Because I'm you and you're me. Switch parties. Jumped in the chat.
It's not like the Fever lacked individual production. Aaliyah Boston dominated inside with 20 points and 9 rebounds, the kind of steady line that usually anchors a win. Kelsey Mitchell set up the offense effectively in the first half. Cunningham brought her trademark energy, and Lexi Hull played tough defense. The core competed and didn't quit, which makes the collapse sting more. The problem wasn't effort, it was direction. And without it, those efforts were wasted.
Hull gets it into Boston. Hand off Mitchell. Indiana has to hurry. Lob back for Boston. Boston finishes. It's a 2-point game, 5.9 seconds remaining.
The bottom line, Indiana didn't lose because Washington was the superior team. They lost by handing away possessions, letting the Mystics control tempo, and never finding a response once momentum flipped. It's a pattern that has haunted them. All season stretches of strong play unraveling into collapses. Early in the year, that was frustrating but manageable. Now, in the playoff race, every late-game collapse is costly.
Cunningham looking, finds Mitchell, launches a corner three, it won't go. Rebound Aiksler, and this young Washington Mystics group who continues to impress throughout this season. And Sidney Johnson in his first year comes up with a big win on the road.
Which leads to the question everyone's asking, why wasn't there a plan to steady the ship when the lead started slipping, when everyone in the building could feel the momentum shift? Who was responsible for adjustments, rotations, or calling plays to counter? The answers point in one direction, and that's exactly where fans have turned their frustration.
Yeah, I think we over-dribbled at times. Our off-ball movement wasn't there. We did a lot of standing. It's almost like we gave the ball to Kelsey and just tried to watch her work. And that's not when we're at our best. I mean, yes, certainly we want to have the ball in our hands, but we've got to continue to get movement with and without the basketball. It was getting stuck. I mean, we want to play 0.5 to 1 second basketball, and we weren't. And it's got to get moving. And
White admitted after the game that Indiana's offense kept getting bogged down, often reduced to handing the ball to Kelsey Mitchell and watching her battle multiple defenders. That single line, "it was getting stuck," became the phrase of the night because it summed up what everyone saw. Once the offense became predictable isolation plays, the obvious adjustment was spacing the floor with shooters like Hull. Instead, the Fever leaned harder on Mitchell, leaving her isolated. Against loaded defenses,
with Chloe Bibby tonight, were there thoughts maybe plugging her in to try and spark the offense a little bit, or what was the decision behind not playing her?
yeah, there were some thoughts. I think that it matched up defensively more than anything with the way that we were going to try to play them, or in some of our switches and things like that. So that was mostly the reason.
And then just with the rotation, was it just those eight or seven that you ran with? Was it just they were flowing well and you wanted to just leave that going, or what was the thought there?
Yeah, I think some of it was defense. Being able to execute the type of defensive coverages that we wanted to have against this, the way that they play.
the stat sheet reflects it. Mitchell shot 6 of 9 for 14 points while dishing 9 assists. She created looks, but she was forced to carry too much as both scorer and playmaker. Several late possessions ended with her forcing drives into traffic, taking contested shots, while shooters stood unguarded on the wings. That's not on Mitchell. She produced despite pressure. But it's impossible to ignore how repetitive the sets became once Washington clogged the paint.
It hurts. I mean, think if we had 8 turnovers for 13 points in the second half as well. So we didn't take care of it.
What gnaws at fans isn't just the defeat itself, but how Indiana neutralized its own strengths. This roster has perimeter shooting, veteran toughness, and a dominant anchor in Boston, yet the sets and rotations suffocated those assets instead of unlocking them. Washington didn't beat Indiana with overwhelming star power. They capitalized on the Fever's predictability and misuse of their personnel. That's why the blame isn't falling on effort, but on strategy. The players gave everything, fighting until the final horn. But the coaching decisions in a tightening playoff race are what many see dragging this team down.
And I think it was something like a 22-7 run, the end of the second, beginning of the third quarter. And those are hard to recover from when anytime really, but when you're missing pieces. And, we've got to make sure that we're sharper at times. We don't have the margin to have lulls within quarters. And then I believe they had something like 21 points from free throw line and turnovers of their 26 in the fourth. And, we control that, defending without fouling. We control that, taking care of the basketball, decision-making at times. And some of it's, playing some people out of position, and some of it's just not being, valuing the basketball in the way that we need to value it, being a little sloppy with it.